Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we are going to be doing technically it's probably 2.5 by now, but on my Labret piercing. So on October 11th of 2022, I went and got my Labret pierced. As you guys know, I have had my Medusa for a couple years now, and I really wanted to add a Labret to my look because I really like this look. So I went and got my Labret pierced 2 months ago, and I just want to talk a little bit about how the healing process has been going, how it's doing now, some things that I have noticed that is way different from any other lip piercing I have had. This is actually my second time filming this video because the first time I tried to film it, the audio on my microphone for some reason blew out. Like, it sounded like I was talking into a fan. You know how like when you were like 7 years old and that's what you did for fun, you turned a fan on and talked into it and it made that kind of noise? That's what my audio sounded like. So after taking everything apart, cleaning my microphone, changing the batteries, hooking it back up, fingers crossed that everything is back to normal. Hopefully. I can't really tell that I'm filming this right now if it's working or not. So I mean, if this video goes up, then that means it worked. If it's not up in my computer, in my crypt of failed videos, then it didn't go up and the audio blew out again. But hi, welcome. If you guys have not seen, like if this is the first Labret piercing video that you guys are watching, I did do a full video of getting it done in the first week of healing. I also did a video of me changing it for the first time and how that debacle went. And now we're gonna be doing a 2-month update because there's been a lot and I wanna talk about it. So let's go ahead and get started and let's talk about my Labret piercing. So after changing it for the first time, that's when I really think the healing process finally started to sort of wrap up for me. The beginning of this piercing was a little bit rough. I did struggle quite a bit with the swelling, the redness, the uncomfortability of it, getting caught on my teeth and stuff, rubbing on my gums, which was obviously very concerning because your teeth, you only get one set of teeth, all right? And if you mess them up or screw them up, there's really no going back unless you're rich and you can pay for a full new set of teeth. I can't. So when it was constantly catching and rubbing, I was very, very concerned about that, and I knew I probably wasn't going to be able to keep this piercing for a long time. However, after changing it and going through another month of healing, I have noticed vast improvement with that. But one of the things I think that lasted the longest with this piercing is in the healing process is I struggled quite a bit with the crusties or the lymph. So whenever you get a new piercing and while it is healing, you will notice that it is either leaking or it has like a clear off-white fluid or crusties around it. That is completely normal for a healing piercing. Basically, whenever you get a new piercing, which is trauma to the body, your body sends white blood cells to the area to try to heal that area. And once those white blood cells dry up, they look like little bits of crust or little crumbs or crusties as they're most commonly referred to. That is the one thing that I really that lasted the longest for me in this healing process, which is honestly probably the most unsightly thing because it can be a little bit gross looking, not gonna lie. So yeah, I did struggle a lot with that. It has gotten a lot better. There will be like every once in a while, I'll see like a little tiny bit of crust or I'll see something a little wet, I guess, around the piercing, but it has gotten a lot better. The other thing I really struggled with that lasted the longest was redness, and I could not understand why my piercing was constantly red. I thought, is it infected? Am I allergic to the jewelry? Like, what's going on? And someone commented on one of my videos recently and said that because when you talk with your bottom part of your mouth way more than the top part of your mouth. So there is going to be more irritation and it is going to be harder to heal that area as opposed to like a lip piercing up here, because the healing for my Medusa was an absolute dream. It was really perfect, comfortable, not too bad. Whereas this one was a little bit more difficult to heal. Like there was just kind of a lot going on. And when that person told me that, I was like, that makes a lot of sense because when you're talking, obviously your bottom lip is moving a lot and that's going to irritate and make the piercing red a lot more often. So I do every once in a while, we'll see like a tiny bit of redness. It's not infected or anything. I think it's just part of the healing process, I guess. It is only 2 months old, so we are on the tail end of healing, but it is still considered a very new piercing. So the crusties and the redness are the two things that I noticed that lasted the longest for me. The third thing would probably be swelling. So when I changed my Labret for the very first time, I wanted to put in a 16 gauge, 1/4 of an inch, which is like 6.3 millimeters, barbell in my lip, okay? That was my desired size, and it didn't work out when I tried to do that. I tried changing it at the 2-week mark, and it just was too short. So I was like, okay, I misguessed. You know, this is too short. I'm gonna have to find something else. So I had to put in like a 7 millimeter barbell. And a couple weeks after changing it, like a week and a half after changing it for the first time, I noticed that that 7 millimeter one was too long. It was still catching on my teeth. I was biting down on it. It was rubbing on my gums really bad. So I decided to try the 1/4 of an inch, the 6.3 millimeter barbell into my lip again and see how that went. And it fit. It fit perfectly. For instance, that is the exact size that I have in right now. It is a 16 gauge, 1/4 of an inch, 6.3 millimeters, flat back, internally threaded barbell. That is what I wear in my Labret. That is what I wear in my Medusa. That is the size that is most comfortable for me. It is nice and snug, but it's not too snug to the point where it's pinching or anything like that. So I didn't realize that when I had changed it for the first time that I was probably still technically swollen. Usually for me, swelling is usually fully gone by 2 weeks, but for whatever reason, this one stayed swollen for a little bit longer. We're not swollen anymore, thank God, and I do have my desired size and jewelry in my lip. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is the nesting stage or the nesting phase. If you guys have either had or hadn't had your lip pierced before, there is this thing called the nesting stage. And what that means is when you get your lip pierced, as it goes through the healing process, it goes through what's called the nesting stage. And that is when the back plate, it should never be the front one, the back plate slightly sinks into the back of your lip, just ever so slightly. And that kind of helps protect your gums and your teeth. It is something that is very normal. Now, there are things you do have to watch out for, and it is something you have to be very careful with, because if it does nest too far into your lip can actually heal over that back plate, and you have a whole other issue of problems going on there. So you do really want to make sure you're watching it, but the nesting stage is really, really common, and it is totally okay as long as you are keeping an eye on it and you are not having any sort of issues or extreme pain along with it. Now, when I went through the nesting stage with my Medusa, it was a little bit sore, not gonna lie. No, it didn't hurt, but it was a little bit tender and sore while it went through that. This one, when I went through the nesting stage, I had absolutely no issues, and I will go ahead and show you what it looks like right now. It has finished the nesting stage, and it is perfectly sitting just in my lip. So the back of my lip is very nicely hugging it, and what that does is it just protects that back plate from rubbing and catching on your teeth and your gums. It's almost like a little protective barrier, so to speak. When I am talking, like when I'm talking right now, I feel absolutely nothing. I feel nothing. I don't feel a back plate. I don't feel any metal. It is beautiful. So it is doing really well. I will go ahead and show you my top and my bottom nesting so you guys can kind of see what it looks like. A lot of people think that's not normal. A lot of people will probably say that's not supposed to happen. It is. It is perfectly normal. It is common. Now, what is not normal is pain, redness, pus, like green, yellow pus. That's not normal. And extreme pain and uncomfortability. I am having absolutely no pain. There is no issues whatsoever. You will see a red ring when I lift up the barbell. You will see a red ring where the back plate is sitting. The Labret piercing is very common for gum recession, all right, because of the constant rubbing. I mean, obviously that's going to happen regardless. Over time. I have gum recession from grinding my teeth at night, okay? So it's not only a piercing's fault when that happens, but it is very common, and it is almost inevitable that all oral piercings will cause some sort of tooth damage or gum recession down the line. But as of right now, where I'm sitting right now, everything is going really well, and I will be able to keep this piercing for a long period of time. So I'm going to zoom you in, and I'm going to show you what both of my lips look like as far as the nesting stage, so you guys can get a better idea of what it looks like and what the heck I'm talking about. So come on in, we'll get real up close and personal here. Okay, so here's an up close view of what my lip piercings are looking like. Side view. Here's what it looks like when I'm smiling. My skin is also really, really dry today, so I'm sorry, I look like a freaking dried up peach. Okay, so my top lip, as you can see how the back plate sits right up in my lip? And it nicely hugs it. So there is my top. On the bottom, you're gonna see my lip just lightly hugging that back plate. See that? See how it's like nicely hugging? So there's no sides of the back plate rubbing. And there it is. So one thing that's very important about lip piercings, and this goes for healed or new, you always want to make sure that you are brushing behind that back plate, okay? Just because it's sunk in there a little bit doesn't mean that food and bacteria can't get in there, because it can. So every time you brush your teeth, just make sure you're getting behind the back plate and scrubbing really good. You don't want to irritate it, you know, you don't need to put a ton of pressure, but just lightly scrub it. Just make sure that there's no food particles or bacteria trapped behind there. But you can see how nicely it is sitting in my lip. This size, the 16 gauge 1/4 of an inch, for me personally, that is what fits me best, okay? It is nice and snug, but it's not too short. Would I be able to go shorter than this? Absolutely not. This is the shortest that I would be able to go, and it sits nicely and the most comfortably in my lip. Now, a couple of things that I have noticed about my Labret piercing that is a little bit different than any other lip piercing I have ever had is I cannot tell you how many pieces of jewelry I have lost from this piercing because the ball constantly comes loose, okay? So the very first time I changed my Labret piercing, I had this really cute, dainty little silver ball in both my top and my bottom lip. And one day when I got to work, I was getting a dog in the bathtub and I heard a little ting, 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 ting. And I was like, okay, that sounded like a piercing ball. So I start checking all my ears, and all of a sudden, before I knew it, my barbell was in my mouth, and I was like, oh my God, my Labret piercing just fell out. And ever since then, I have, like, the ball constantly comes loose on the jewelry. Now, I don't know if that's because you talk more with the bottom part of your mouth. Hang on, I need chapstick. Winter has not been good to me this year, okay? My skin is dry, my lips are dry, and the jewelry just comes loose that way. But one thing that I've had to make a habit of, and I mean, you should do this with all your piercings, honestly, but what I've had to do most often is check the ball on my Labret piercing at least 1 to 2 times a week, because it does come loose, and I have never, ever had that issue with any of my other lip piercings before. I had my Monroe pierced, my Medusa. I've never had that issue before, but this one, it constantly comes loose. And I don't think it's the jewelry, because I've tried this brand of jewelry before. It's in my top lip even, the exact same one, and I don't have that issue. So that is the one thing that I've noticed that I've had to really kind of stay on top of, is checking the tightness, make sure it's tight. The second thing I've noticed, and this is probably the most annoying thing that I have noticed ever since getting it, is wearing makeup with it. I talked a little bit about this in, I think it was a vlog that I talked about this recently, but my Labret piercing looks so much better when I don't wear makeup. And the reason for that, and I really want to know if any of you guys have experienced this same exact thing, but when I put makeup on, I always put makeup around my lips, you know, all over my face, around my piercing, and I notice that throughout the day, as I'm wearing makeup, I will notice a huge red ring of where my foundation and powder rubbed off. Because when I first put makeup on, you know, it's all one even color, right? And then throughout the day, while I'm talking, eating, drinking, whatever the case may be, there will be a red ring where the piercing rubbed the foundation off, and it just looks freaking awful. Like, have any of you guys experienced that? But when I don't have makeup on, that's obviously not a problem because there's nothing to rub off. Like right now, There's nothing there. Now, a couple of questions that I wanted to answer that a few of you had. And the one big question I got is, why did you choose a Labret over a vertical Labret? A vertical Labret is the one that goes straight through the bottom lip, and a Labret is this one. Labret just means lip, so I mean, you can call it whatever you want. But a lot of people ask me, why did I choose this one as opposed to a vertical Labret? And the simple answer for you is personal preference, okay? I do absolutely love the look of vertical Labret piercings, all right? I have considered that for a long time while I was considering this one. But I don't think, personally, on me, it would look good. And the reason for that is because my lips are very, very small. My lips are asymmetrical. They're very thin. And I don't think a vertical Labret would do them any favors. Now, if I had really nice, thick, plump, beautiful lips, then a vertical Labret would probably look better. But since my lips are a little bit wonky and a little bit weird, I just decided to go with a Labret. That doesn't mean I don't like vertical Labrets. Vertical Labrets are a lot healthier for your teeth as opposed to these. I understand that, but honestly, just personal preference and what I wanted for my own specific look. Another question I get is, are you going to wear a ring in it? Because in lip piercings, you can wear a ring in your lip piercings, and the answer is yes. I do want to try out the ring look. The only thing I'm waiting on is trying to find a really good size. I've never been good with sizing things, so I'm just trying to kind of look around and guesstimate a good size that would be comfortable in this piercing. But yes, I will be trying a ring in this. And the third question, this hasn't been super common, but I've seen a couple people comment about it, and that is that they are uneven, meaning the bottom one doesn't match up with the top one. Truly, I haven't noticed anything. I don't think that they're uneven at all. I think they're pretty lined up, all things considered. So I don't know if they are. Oh well, but I don't think that they are. So really quickly, here's just another look at what my Labret is looking like at 2 months. Everything is looking good. And this is the Jade Opal from Urban Body Jewelry, and I have the exact same in my Medusa and in my Labret because I really like the matchy-matchy look. Alrighty guys, so I think that is everything that I have for my 2-month update on my Labret piercing. Everything is going really well, thank goodness, because the beginning was a little rocky there. I was like, phew, am I getting too old for piercings? Is my body just getting all sorts of pissed at me? But no, I think we're good. I think everything's good. Hopefully you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please go down and give this video a huge thumbs up. If you have experienced any of the same things that I have experienced during the healing process, please let me know down below in the comments. If you are new to my channel and this is the first video of mine that you are watching, please make sure you go down and hit that red subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. But as the rest of you, that is all that I have for today, and I will see you very soon in my next video. I love you guys and happy healing. Bye. Mwah.